Greetings, metaphysicians. This is episode 173, Location Repair. It's one of my favorite processes. I play it pretty much all the time on repeat, on silence, everywhere I go. It does exactly what it is called. It repairs locations. It's incredible. I think you're really going to like this one. Enjoy the episode.
You're listening to Let's Get Metaphysical. This podcast explores the spiritual and metaphysical world through the experiences and opinions of the host and those interviewed. It should not necessarily be seen as direct endorsement or personal advice to our listeners. We encourage you to use your own discernment, judgment, and intuition regarding anything you learn from this show. The statements and advice offered in this podcast are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or medical condition, and are not substitutes for prudent medical care offered by licensed medical professionals. References to healing or treatments in this episode are describing faith-based blessings performed by God and the master healing angels. Neither this episode nor any part of it may be copied, transcribed, distorted, sold, republished, or distributed without first receiving the express written permission of both the CMA International Foundation and Up and Awaken Productions.
Let's get meta.
Welcome to the Let's Get Metaphysical podcast. I'm your host, Renata Maniaci. Here to remind you, you are a spiritual being having a temporary human experience here on lovely planet Earth. That's right, you are a permanent soul enjoying a temporary human suit. Enjoy it. This is Season 8, Angelic Reformation, and this is episode 173, Location Repair. This season is all about the body of knowledge known as Angelic Reformation, as well as a close look at each of its tools. And as we jump in, I'll give you a brief reminder of what this season is about. Angelic Reformation is what we call the tools, processes, and rapid spiritual development work that has been presented through the teacher, Master John Douglas, by his companions, the Master Angels. It is about rapid evolution of your consciousness without the use or necessity of outside substances or other interventions, such as drugs, psychedelics, plant medicines, therapy, religious dogma, esoteric rituals, etc. Angelic Reformation is about restructuring one's consciousness from being comprised of earthly human constructs towards one's universal divine structures containing the truth of all matter, all while still in a human body. It is a set of spiritual development tools that anyone can choose to use alongside any existing spiritual practice, religion, or tradition, if desired. If you have not yet listened to the first 2 episodes of this season, please go ahead and listen to episode 168, Angelic Reformation, and episode 169, The Evolution of Consciousness, before listening in to this one. It will provide needed context for what we are talking about. And now, if you are ready, then let's get meta. Master Angels, I humbly request your presence, guidance, and support through this episode. Please help these words to be useful to all listeners on their evolutionary journey. Let me know the truth, speak the truth, become the truth, and be the truth. And please let this episode reach whoever needs to hear it. Thank you with full faith. Bless creation. Today, we are talking about the location repair process. And just to remind everyone, a process in this context is an MP3, kind of like an audio meditation. There are currently 15 processes in the array of tools that make up Angelic Reformation. We are exploring the location repair process today. And here's the description of the location repair process direct from the website where it can be purchased. at globalcma.org. Comprehensive space clearing techniques are a way to properly remove all invading consciousness and energies of the negative astral realm and return them to God's center. Removing negative influences in the nearby space helps protect one's consciousness and harmonize in the positive light of God, thereby allowing personal evolution to be less hindered. The goal is to have blessings return many times over as peace, love, protection, joy, good health, happiness, abundance, and prosperity. Our lives are affected by negative forces and influences working against the spiritual evolution of humanity. On the astral level, in any particular space, we may be exposed to negative influences like wayward spirits, energy parasites, demonic entities, negative thought forms, stray emotions, impressions of previous events, and many other factors. Spiritual pollution and astral negativity need to be permanently removed in order to harmonize the vibrations of any space. Suggestion for use: listen to location repair directed prayer actively, or play the process quietly in the background. This process is part of the loop, and I'll get back to what the loop is in a little bit. Before I share a bit more of my own experience with the location repair process, I am going to play a few testimonials from people who use location repair regularly.
This is Stephanie. I live in Boone, North Carolina. I had an experience with location repair several years ago. It was actually when I first got it in 2012. We lived in a neighborhood where there was a very challenging neighbor across the street. Lots of not great energy and activities being attracted into our little neighborhood. And we started playing location repair on the loop, and very quickly, about 2 to 3 weeks later, this neighbor who had lived there for many years, long before we had purchased our home, just relocated and left the neighborhood, and a very nice little family moved in instead. So all of the energy and things that had been going on in our little neighborhood just ceased. It was amazing.
Hi, my name is Susie, and I'd like to share with you my experience with the location repair process. Funnily enough, the location repair process is the very first process I ever listened to. I had heard of Master John for some time, but finally the location repair process was lent to me by a friend as I was trying to sell my house. I thought, well, if this CD can purify and enhance the feeling level of my house, that will help me sell it. The results of playing the location repair CD were immediate and so tangible. The first time I listened, I could feel a deep cleansing energy, silence, and peace permeating throughout my environment. I felt divinely protected. My home felt so much better, and so did I. I was hooked on Master John and the power of the Master Angels. And by the way, the first buyer I showed my house to asked if he could meditate in the house before he wrote up the purchase agreement. The location repair process is always with me for comfort and support at home or as I travel.
Hi, my name is Jan. I currently live in Long Beach, California, and I've been a practitioner of Angelic Reformation since 2014. I'd like to share an experience I had with the location repair CD. I use location repair when I'm driving in the mean streets of Southern California. And this particular instance, I was speaking with my coworker, Amber, As I was driving, a big truck came out of nowhere and started to cut into me in my lane. The other side of my driving lane was a wall. There was literally no way for me to escape the other car coming into my lane and nothing for me to do. I just made a request to the Master Angels to help me, and I had location repair playing out loud. What happened next is truly remarkable. I don't know how, but somehow I was able to fit in the space between the wall and the large truck, who never ever saw me. A second later, I said, "Oh my God." And my coworker Amber said, "What happened? Where'd you go? It's like I lost you for a moment." I pulled over just so I could catch my breath and get my bearings, and I told her what happened. And she said, "You had location repair looping, correct?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, the Master Angels definitely lifted you up, took you out of that space, and saved you once again." So while this may sound crazy or a little woo-woo, I can tell you this is one of many stories where driving in Los Angeles with location repair playing has been a great blessing for me, keeping me safe. I push play and feel much better no matter where I may be.
Hi, I'm Melinda from Australia, and I'd like to share my experiences with the location repair process. A couple of years ago, I moved back to my home city of Sydney, having lived in Perth, a smaller, more peaceful city, for about 20 years. I had difficulty being back in Australia's largest city because the already big population had increased significantly. The infamous traffic congestion had become even worse, and the general culture was less friendly. I've always played location repair silently on a loop in my home and wherever I go. But I started proactively doing the process with volume and asking the Master Angels to help me harmonize with Sydney. I also started listening to the process playing in the background while I do other things in my home. While there are still challenges with living here, it's helped me feel significantly more at home, which I'm really grateful for. And additionally, for a recent job, I had to drive over an hour each way to work through some very run-down areas with difficult traffic, and it felt like driving through mud, energetically speaking, and was really unpleasant. But by playing location repair silently on a loop in my car, I noticed the energy of these areas significantly purified over time, and the drive became much more pleasant.
A big thank you to all who shared their experiences with us once again. You might have caught that a few of those who shared referred to what is called the loop. What is the loop? The loop consists of the MP3 processes location repair, spirit repair, and psychological repair played on repeat in the background with little or no volume. Many people keep the loop on them and on repeat 24/7. In doing so, you are protected, rebuilt, and transformed as you go throughout your day. These MP3 and CD processes are specifically designed to give you 100% of the benefit of their highly technical and advanced healing processes, even while they play in the background or on silent. And our next 2 episodes are going to be about spirit repair and psychological repair. So you can hear more about those soon. But this is just to say that many people will use these 3 and keep them on repeat and on silent. And for these specific processes, and I want to be clear about this, these ones are allowed to be played on silent and on repeat and will give you 100% of the benefit of their healing processes. This is not the same for some of the other processes we've already talked about, such as subconscious repair or soul repair. Those ones you need to play out loud and attend to by sitting or laying down to receive 100% of their benefits. Okay? So these ones are able to listen to and receive all the benefits even by not listening to it and having it on silent. That is what the loop is. And we will hear more about that in the next few episodes too. So I want to share a bit more about my experiences with location repair. You heard in the testimonials about people using the process in their homes and in their vehicles. I do this too. I have a loop going in my home all the time, and it keeps my home feeling nice and comfortable. And in fact, I can't tell you how many times people have come in to my homes and commented that they feel really good. And these are people who know nothing about the process at all, like AC repair people, electricians, plumbers, friends who don't know about the processes, things like this. But for me, like my experiences with the food repair disc in the previous episode, my most noticeable and significant experiences with location repair are when I'm traveling. And I have so many experiences to share with location repair. I'm not quite sure where to start, but I can start with airplanes. It is the very first thing I do when I step on an airplane. I have all the processes on my phone, in my iMusic on my phone, and I press play on location repair, followed by spirit repair, as soon as I physically step on an airplane. And the energy changes instantly. Most times I can feel it. It's just there's so many people packed into one space, right? Not to mention just the airplane moving through space, moving through the planet from place to place and picking up who knows what and picking up who knows what from all the people and everyone's luggage and where everyone has been and all of their own energies and everything. So it is the first thing I do on airplanes and on anything else I travel on. If I'm on a train, if I'm on a cruise, rental cars, the first thing I do when I sit down in a rental car is play location repair. It's just habit now, but it feels different, and I can feel when I don't do it, when I forget to do it. And in fact, one of the places that I always use location repair as soon as I walk in is anywhere that I'm staying, whether it's with a friend, but especially in hotel rooms, Airbnbs, anywhere that I might be traveling and staying. Again, walk in, press play on location repair, and for me, closely followed by spirit repair, which we're going to hear about in the next episode in more depth. But there's been so many times where so my little routine when I travel and I get to a place that I'm staying is play location repair followed by spirit repair and put out my travel home harmony device, which is another angelic reformation tool that we will have a future episode about. But suffice it to say that that device clears spaces as well in different ways. It harmonizes the energy in places. We'll hear more about that in a future episode. But this is my little routine when I'm traveling or staying in new places for whatever reason. And if I don't do that, there's sometimes when you're traveling, you get to a place, you have to drop your stuff and go to something else. I'll get to a hotel room, have to drop my stuff, and then run to catch a tour that I signed up for, something like that. So there's times when I'll forget to do those things. And then I'll be tossing and turning and trying to figure out, well, I can't sleep at 1, 2, 3 a.m. And I'll remember that I didn't play location and spirit repair or set up my home harmony device. So these are real. These are real tools. I always go right to sleep after I do that. It changes the energy. It cleans everything up in ways that I don't even think are explainable. We do the best that we can, but there are so many different ways and places that this can be used that can do good for not only you and keeping yourself safe and comfortable, but also can do good for the place itself and affect innumerable people. I've used this all over the world. I'm going to give you a few examples of specific times when I have used this in places. So I was in Nepal a few years ago, and it just so happened that I was going to be flying to Pokhara, which is a pretty short flight, an hour or less from Kathmandu to Pokhara. And the month before I got there, unfortunately, there was a horrible plane crash right as the plane was landing in Pokhara. They were landing in the airport there. It's a new airport, and something went wrong at the last second, and the plane crashed, and everyone on board died, and it was horrible. And I knew already when I heard about that I was taking pretty much the exact same flight about a month later. And when I landed after taking that flight, I just had this overwhelming desire to go to the crash site, and a place like, Nepal, you can. So my guide and my taxi driver, they took us there, and it was sweet because they both wanted to be there too and just pay their respects. But I played location repair and also spirit repair after that. And I just felt the need to do that, to clear that location of anything that the process was capable of clearing. And that's an example of me feeling compelled to play it in a particular place. I can't tell you, I didn't stay there. We were only there for the amount of time it took to do those things, and then we left and moved on. I never went back. But sometimes you feel compelled to do these things. Another time where I felt compelled to do that was on the same trip when I was in India a bit later, and I was in Amritsar. And I was at the site of the Amritsar massacre that took place. And I also played location repair there because I just felt compelled to. So many people were killed during that massacre in the early 1900s. I can't remember what year it was, but that's why I was there visiting. One of the reasons I've been to so many temples and cathedrals, and I was in Cambodia several years ago, and I just played location repair and spirit repair on loop the whole time there too, because you can feel, I don't know if anyone listening has been to Cambodia before, but for me personally, it just felt so heavy and sad with everything that's gone on there. And, places where battles or war has been, places where there have been massacres or conflict or human tragedies or human sacrifice even. I played it in places in Hawaii that were known to have had human sacrifice. I know people who have played location repair in places in Mexico or elsewhere that were also known for such things. People have played at location repair in concentration camps, in other sites of massacres, old burial grounds, tombs, pyramids, natural disaster sites, where you've had flooding or hurricanes or tornadoes, earthquakes, other things that have happened to disrupt the natural energies of any location. I could go on and on. I know people, and I used to live in Washington, D.C. myself, but I know people who have played location repair in the U.S. Capitol, in the Supreme Court building, in the White House, in the Pentagon. These places. You play it in airports. How many people are you affecting when you play location repair in airports or in stadiums or at concerts or at a sporting event or at Renaissance fairs or festivals? You're not hurting anything by doing this. And on the contrary, you could be directly or indirectly helping not only the land to heal and repair given whatever anything happened to it or the location. Also, you could be helping the people in that general area. And we've seen this over and over and over again. And, I could keep going on stories. I'll share a few more. There's haunted places, right? There's places that don't feel good. They feel weird or scary. There's places all over, at least the United States, where you go on haunted tours. I've been on a few in New Orleans. I've been on one in my hometown. One of my best friends from home and I, just for fun, went on a haunted tour of where we're from. And I was, of course, playing location repair and spirit repair and psych on the loop on silent the whole time. And some of these places were truly haunted. I walked in, you felt it. They have had several stories of the participants of these tours seeing things, getting things on camera, hearing things, feeling weird, all those things. And my friend happens to be someone who loves that stuff. She loves the ghosts. She calls them the ghosties, but things like that. And she happened to be friends with the person who was giving the tour, and they ran into each other a month later. And he said, nobody's really said anything since I saw you last on that tour about seeing ghosts or apparitions or feeling weird in the places that we go. And she told me that, and she was angry because she likes that kind of stuff. But she knew I was playing the processes, and she was telling me that because for her, it was proof that they worked. And so, this is something I'll do. I did it again in also where I grew up in a hotel that felt really creepy. I just kind of felt compelled to go in. I sat in the lobby. I played location repair. Now, I haven't been back there since then. I haven't gone in and to see if it changed or felt different to me, but I just felt compelled to do that. And so, this process, it's just, the uses for it are unfathomable. And you're probably sitting there listening to this and thinking, wow, I could use it here. I could use it there. I could use it. We know people who have used it in prisons, detention centers. Can you imagine cleaning up the energy and the location of places like that? It's unfathomable what this can be used for. So again, this transformation and change is brought about by pressing play on this 10-minute process, which you can listen to out loud or play on silent for this particular process and still have 100% of the full effect of it, which is pretty cool if you're asking me. Pressing play activates many spiritual processes that are performed on the space during just the time frame of the audio. And it's a compact, time-bound spiritual technology given to us by the Master Angels through the teacher, Master John Douglas. And it's available to anyone. Listen, change, and transform for the rest of your life just by pressing play. And for location repair in particular, as I've stated, think of what good you could do, not just for yourself and keeping yourself safe and comfortable, but also for helping repair locations around the world, like all those that I mentioned above and failed to mention. The good that playing this process out in the world does is just, again, truly unfathomable. Like the other processes, location repair costs $150. It never stops working and is continually added to and updated when appropriate by the Master Angels without needing to purchase another. Purchasing the location repair process also includes a link to a more in-depth talk called Hidden Depths of Location Repair Directed Prayer webinar of Master John Douglas explaining the process and what it does. I highly recommend listening to this. If you happen to go to the website, you buy this, you get the email receipt. In it, you'll have a link to the MP3 that you can download, and you'll have a link to this webinar. Master John is the living conduit bringing these spiritual technologies from the Master Angels into physical form. So there really is no better person to hear any of this information from regarding the proper use of these tools. So I want to thank you so much again for listening in. I am going to leave it there for today. The next episode is about the spirit repair process, which again is also part of the loop that I mentioned before. And if you value your own peace and would rather not have unknown and uninvited energies, imprints, negative thought forms, discarnate spirits, and other potentially darker entities around you, you won't want to miss the next episode. If you are interested in looking into these tools or finding out more, visit globalcma.org. And again, I don't get any kickbacks from this. I'm sharing these tools because I'm on my 9th year of using them, and my life has been transformed in unfathomable ways because of them. Take it or leave it. This is not a journey for everyone, but it is available to anyone who is interested. As always, thank you for listening. Stay positive, stay safe, and stay meta.
The Let's Get Metaphysical podcast is an Up, and Awaken production and is produced and hosted by Renata Maniaci. Our intention is to raise the vibration of the planet by sharing, validating, and normalizing spiritual and metaphysical experiences. The Let's Get Meta podcast is inspired by angels and supported by angels. If you would like to be a patron angel of the podcast, visit patreon.com/letsgetmeta. Thank you for listening. Stay meta.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.